D, egg!
Where's it? There's no eggs.
Where are your eggs?
D, where are your eggs?
D, eggs!
My name's Sam, and this is my channel. Do. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Sam, and today we'll be doing a little craft project. As some of you may know, a couple months ago I moved, and we're still trying to decorate the house with some art and to put things on the wall. I thought it would be funny to do some kind of version of a live, laugh, love sign, but I didn't want it to be too generic and I wanted to vary it up a little bit. So I decided to take inspiration from It's Always Sunny, specifically the episode entitled Dennis's Double Life. In this episode, Dennis reveals that he has a child and a double life, and eventually all the gang comes over to Dee's house and starts harassing her about breakfast food, more specifically, eggs. So, instead of live, laugh, love, I decided to make a wood-burned sign that says, Eggs, D, Eggs, with Danny Devito's face on it. So, let's get into the video and see how I make it. For this project, we'll be starting with a plank of wood. This is a piece of driftwood I've had saved for a craft project, and I'll be using this. If you're using driftwood or any kind of scavenged wood, the first thing you'll want to do is remove any oddities. Here I'm removing nails, and driftwood could also come with things like staples, rope, and things like that. So you're going to want to remove any oddities to create a completely flat surface. I probably should have put a tarp down or done this outside, but my stupidity is your lesson. This craft does get pretty messy, so please take caution. Once all the oddities are removed, we'll throw that away, and then we'll get to sanding. Take a hand sander at an 80 grit, and we're going to sand all of the sides. This is exactly why you want to do this either in a tarped area or outside, because I just made a mess all over my computer. You're just going to want to sand enough to get it flat for the wood burning. I like things to be a little rustic, so I'm not going to go that hard in with the sanding. I'm just going to get both sides and all of the edges, just to make it flat enough to burn through, once again. Once properly sanded, I made a stencil of Danny DeVito's face and traced it onto the wood itself. And in substitution for live, laugh, love, we have the words eggs, D, eggs that I've traced on this board as well. And then we'll get to burning. So I have a wood burning soldering tool here set to 450 degrees. And then we're going to be using a pencil-like tip to burn and heat protective gloves so I don't burn myself as well. So make sure not to touch this area and only to touch the black part here. Then we're going to start burning in our letters. You're going to want to do this very slowly and evenly as possible. Think of it like ink. Too much or not enough pressure could cause gaps in the wood burning, and that's something that you don't want. Once the outline of the words are done, we're going to be coloring it in. And now I've burned the inside of the words. So now let's get started on our egg. I'm just very lightly tracing the outline of the egg, and then I'm going to add in a yolk and steam lines. Now let's move on to Danny. I'm going to trace the outline of his face, and then add in little details like his hair. I'll be detailing his hair by moving the wood burning tool to its side and pushing it in on an angle. And once Danny's all done, I'm going to add a little more detail by putting a spoon and knife pattern all over the wood. I'm going to trace it using my pen, and because it's such a tiny pattern and I don't want to ruin the work I've done, I'm just going to go over it with a little bit of black paint. And just a few more on the outskirts just to make the pattern full. And now we're going to paint the inside of our egg. I'll be using acrylic paint for the wood, and I'm just going to put a couple of drops onto the egg of white paint first. And just spread that around, making sure that I don't insert it into the wood burned part. Then we'll add a drop of yellow for our yolk. Oops, just a little too much. And then we'll spread that around, making sure not to erase the details that we worked on with the wood burning. And then, like I said, I'm just going in over the spoon and the knife with a little bit of black paint. I'll continue to do this on the entire board until our entire pattern is painted on. And this is what our finished product will look like. And for our last step, I'll just be adding something to the back to hang it up with. Well, that's all I've got for you this week. Let me know what you thought about my wood-burned Danny Devito project, and if you have any other requests, leave a comment. I'm always looking for inspiration for new art. All of my other social medias will be linked down below in the description. Otherwise, I'll see you next week for more shenanigans.